So Shailendra, we at across the globe are trying to connect people of similar interest so that they can share information with each other on the platform, and with their combined passion, with their combined knowledge, they can connect, collaborate, and grow.
Yep.
On the platform, we have jobs, internships, as well as event education, and we have the app also live on the Play Store as well, on which we do provide a lot of internships, and we are trying via these webinars, we are trying to connect students with opportunities such as professional connect, because they don't get to see the other side of it, because um, uh, in their college, I think they are limited by the certain set of vision or the courses that are provided to them. But at across the globe, we are trying to connect them with professionals so that they can learn from their experiences.
Yep.
And we also have a startup called Banao, as well as another one called Employed India. And Banao is basically a web and app solutions. And Employed India is a marketing solutions provider for any of the startups or any of the businesses that we have. So everyone, this is Saurabh Basi. I'll be your host for the day. And today's session is about making money out of data. Today we have Mr. Shailendra Kumar with us. Shailendra is the Chief Evangelist for SAP Intelligent Enterprise Solutions in the APJ and GC region. He is responsible for driving innovative ideas and discussions with SAP's client in the region. And with an experience of over 25 years working with corporates, software vendors, and consulting companies to deliver over $1 billion to advanced analytics, Shailendra joined SAP in July 2017. He has established and led several data science businesses to generate revenue and drive incremental growth by creating multiple AI solutions across a variety of sectors, including high-tech, financial services, retail, and public sector. Shailendra is a keynote speaker, influencer, and a thought leader in the AI space, and has published multiple articles about advanced analytics, machine learning, IoT, AI, and blockchain. He has recently published an Amazon bestseller, Making Money Out of Data, which showcases 5 business stories from various industries on how successful companies make millions of dollars in incremental value using analytics. Prior to joining SAP, Shailendra held senior executive level positions at IBM, Accenture, Woolworths, and Kohl's. Today, his session would be on making money out of data, and I'm proud to be your host today and very excited.
Okay, shall we start?
I think we can get started right now.
Okay, let me start sharing my screen then. Okay, guys, thank you for your time today, and I hope you learn a thing or two from my session today. As Saurabh explained what I do, what I will do is I will very, very quickly give you a brief understanding of who I am and where I come from, just to give you a bit of understanding so that you do not you just do not think that you're going to waste time in the coming few hours. So, a few hours or half an hour, whatever it is. So let me kickstart very quickly to explain to you who I am, where I come from. As he explained, I have been doing what is called analytics or data science. Some people call it AI for the past 25 years now. And I've worked across 5 different countries, and which is across 4 different continents, whether Europe, Asia, Australia. And what I've done is I've actually used data or analytics to make money. That was the only goal. And in the process, tried to make processes simpler as they go. So what I've done is I've spent a lot of time at retail houses. I've spent a lot of time at vendors, and I've spent 5 or 6 years on consulting companies as well. So overall, in the last 25 years, I have actually looked at all the 3 different areas of or different sides of the business, whether it is business, whether it is corporate, or whether it is a vendor. So what is data all about? What is analytics all about? So let's have a quick look at this, and let's see what happens when you run analytics. And this particular video, which I'm going to show in the next slide, is going to depict a lot about that. So let's have a look at this. Let's go. I hope you're able to see and hear what's going on. So this is a Charlie Chaplin video where this is the current analytics situation. When you ask for an outcome, what you get is more data. And have a look at that. So poor Charlie asked for a glass of water, and which was an outcome he was looking for. But what happened was he was thrown with more data to actually do something. And that's what happens in a business environment today. What happens is C-level or the senior leadership asks for a particular outcome to be solved. And instead of solving the problem, what they get is a report, another analysis, more data to do something with it. And that's what happens over a lot of time. And that's not very helpful for the organization. So what actually is required? And let's have a look at that. Oh, sorry, let's go to the next slide. Sorry. Okay. So analytics, in my view, is all about creativity. It's about accelerating innovation. It's about how creative you are to actually understand the value. Sorry, just give me a second. Yes, the value that you get out of data. So basically what you're doing is you're becoming creative to pick up the data that you've got and apply analysis on it to get an outcome. And that is more about creativity. If you ask someone, you ask them, what is analytics all about? They will say it's about data, it's about analysis. I would say no. I would say that it is about how creative you are to use that data to create an outcome, to deliver an outcome. If you're not able to do that, then that particular analysis or that particular data is of no use. So that is the most important aspect of analysis or analytics, that is creativity. So you got to be very creative on how you use that data stream to provide some kind of an outcome. Okay, so what's happening? And I've been talking about this particular slide I've been using for the last few years, but there is the end game that has come out now and which has actually changed. So if you look at it, there was a lot of data. That data was converted into information, and then information is then converted into insights. But until and unless there is no action on it, that data, information, insight is of no use. So what you need to understand is that you need to get that data and create some insight that is actionable enough to create value. Most of the people miss out on the value quotient. Everyone talks about information. Oh, we're providing you with this report and this analysis. This is the insight you found. But if there is no action on that particular insight, there is no value that is being generated. So what you want to understand is what kind of action needs to be taken to create value. And the value is the most important aspect of analytics. And that requires creativity. And so organizations that are focusing on creating insights that are actionable to create value are being very, very successful in current scenario. So let's look at how organizations look at analytics. And I'll give you a classic. The reason why I'm saying that, or this particular slide came into existence, was because I was trying to ask people when I was writing my book, do you do analytics? So anyone who was even reading an Excel spreadsheet called themselves that they were using analytics. But what we realized was that though everyone is doing analytics, there's a different level of sophistication. So people who were managing information, was creating data integration kind of stuff, called themselves to be analytics people as well. So who are those guys? People who create data warehouses, who create data marts, create a single customer view, create integrated data solutions, create single view of products. They call themselves as analytics people. But that they are at the very basic level of information providing. And these guys are the ones who are actually providing people or creating information. They are doing analytics, but they are at the very first level of providing analytics. The second level to that was descriptive analytics. So people who create reports, people who create segmentation, create dashboards, create visualizations, these are the kind of people who do descriptive analytics. Most of the time, these people are utilizing data to create reports or pre-built formulas that actually create an end result or a report at the end. Now, what happens is when someone actually looks at that report, they have more questions in their mind. So when they've got more questions in their mind, they actually pick up the phone and call someone to say, oh, the sales were down in, say, the southern part of India. Why do you think so? What is the reason behind it? So what happened was the organization started building something called ad hoc analytics services within the organization. And every organization has this kind of a service, whether it is part of the business or whether it is part of, or whether it is centralized. But these are the people who actually respond back, providing what if scenarios, simulations, answering those ad hoc questions which business needs to get answered. And as a result of that, you need to do some predictions, because what organizations want then is to actually predict what is likely to happen. And when you predict what is likely to happen, you actually want to do some kind of predictive models that actually help you in creating next best offer, help you in optimization, help you in doing trigger-based modeling and all that stuff. But when you look at all of that, most of the organizations say that you start from one, which is managing information. Second, then once you have managed information, then you go and create some reports. Once you've got reports, then you create some ad hoc services, and then you would go to predictive analytics. So the level of sophistication actually goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, which is starting from managing information to going to descriptive, to going to ad hoc, to going to predictive. So you've got to have that sequence in place. And that has been told to people for God knows how many years. But what I figured out was that there is another way of doing it. And that is quicker, because if you go by doing the managing information first and getting predictive analytics last, you will take around about a year or year and a half to actually provide some kind of a result, or providing some kind of a value to the business. And businesses can't wait for year and a half. So there is another way of doing that, is you start with an outcome and start building a predictive model. And in the process, or solving business solution, providing business solution. In the process, when you do that, you create a lot of data. And as you're solving small problems, you're actually solving you're collecting all that data. So you're going from 4, which is predictive, as first, and then going into descriptive, and then going to managing information. So you go 4, 3, 2, 1 instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, if that makes sense. So organizations are really looking into getting value now, and then going into looking at all the other options, and then collecting data as a result of that. So these are the 4 mutually exclusive, mutually reinforcing tiers of analytics, and along with that, providing agility to the businesses to get quick results, quick value now, and let alone waiting for 1.5 years. Okay, so what I would do now is, people, because this is this particular episode or this particular session is being watched by people even on social media, I request you to actually take this particular link and tell us, where do you think your organization is in doing this? Or for people who were students, what did you think was analytics before coming into this session? Did you think it was creating a report, or did you think that collecting information was analytics, or was it getting a predictive model as a result? So it'll be great if you could actually have a look at your system and let me know. If you go there and just select what do you think is analytics as a result of that, and that will be very helpful, because this will give us an opportunity to understand where you guys are coming from. So can you quickly run through this and let me know what is analytics for you? And I'll give you a second to do that. So people who are watching this, if you guys can quickly go into the quiz and provide your responses on what do you think, where your organization is at this point in time in terms of analytics, and or if you can let me know, what do you think is analytics all about? And we've started getting some responses. We've got 2 responses, and they think it's descriptive at the moment. So this is what we are seeing at the moment. Most people think it is descriptive, or reporting is analytics. So guys, all the others, please quickly respond to this particular question, and then I'll move on. Okay, guys. So what I'm seeing at the moment is that most of the people who've actually responded to this question think that reporting is analytics, or have been thinking that reporting is analytics. But so now, if you look at it, reporting is just one component of analytics. It's not analytics itself, because there is level of sophistication on analytics, and so you need to think about that analytics is far more than just reporting. Okay, let me move on. Okay, so what is happening at the moment? What we see is, well, I'm still getting results. So I've seen that most of the people, again, 90% of the people think that it is reporting, that is analytics. Okay. So today what we see is that most of the organizations which are successful are moving towards predictive or advanced analytics. So if you look at it, if you look at early 2000s, most of the time was spent on collecting data and reporting, and lots of organizations actually spent a lot of time in telling corporates that you have to collect more and more data, and you have to create reports, and very less time was spent on analysis or insights, or even doing predictive analytics or advanced analytics. But what has changed today is, and this is a moving chart, because what is happening is that as we are going towards tomorrow, a lot of this is moving. Less and less time is being spent on reporting and data collection, because reporting and data collection is now getting automated. Insights and analysis, where that's where more and more time is being spent, whereas advanced or predictive analytics is where it's growing more further. So if you're a student and if you're looking for a career, I think that growth factor is on the advanced analytics area. So if you focus on your career in that space, you'll be well. Whereas creating insights and analysis has actually maxed out. It's really grown further. But if you're trying to create data and bringing it all together and creating reports, I think that is more or less automated at the moment. And most of the organizations have automated. One more thing which we have realized is that the organizations who've spent more time in predictions and in analysis and insights are more successful than the organizations who've actually not done that, or who've spent most of the time in collecting data, or have spent more of the time in reporting only. So I think that's where you should be focusing on if you are wanting to get a career in analytics. So spend more time in creating models and learning statistics, and that's where the money is, if that makes any sense. Okay, let's move on. Okay, but there is challenges in execution of analytics as well, and the challenges come in from various levels. So what happens is, when you are a business, most of the time business would turn around and say, your analytics model doesn't make sense, and I don't think it will work. And that is because they have spent so much of time in their business that they have a real good understanding of analytics of their business. So anything that comes out of the box or not normal, they would not accept it. But the challenge with analytics is that when you go and tell them something they already know, then they would say, yeah, we know that. And if you tell them something that they didn't know and you're trying to now open up new avenues, they would say, yeah, but I know my business better than you. So that's one of the challenges that you get in execution. And business will turn around and say, well, I know more about my business. What your analytics can tell me about it, right? From an analytics team's perspective, what is happening is that analytics teams are working in silos. So they need to work together as well. Because they're working in silos, people who are actually building or collecting the data or doing analysis aspect of it do not get involved in creating insights, which means that a lot of insight, a lot of understanding that they get out of the business is lost and is not brought onto the table. So a good thing to do is to bring everyone together and work as a team. And because that's all happening this way, what happens is finally the organization turns around and says that analytics doesn't work, it's just a jargon. And then they go back to that old model of creating reports and creating analysis for people, and that's all they do. Which is, again, which hurts me as an individual, because I've spent most of my time in creating analysis or creating insights or helping organizations make billions of dollars. The problem with the organizations is that they are not getting the right people to do the right job, and in the end, they're not able to deliver any value. And large organizations, if they don't see value, they will actually just leave it. And that's true to anything. If you don't see value in your friends, you will not be friends with them, right? That's how it all works. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. I don't know how many of you have actually used analytics or data science as a process, but we've actually got an end-to-end process which starts from creating an objective to getting an outcome. Now, the most important aspect of it is writing the objective. I usually, I have been told so many times that give me some data and I'll do something with it. I actually park that discussion, because every time you try and do that, you're only looking at the data but not the problem. So the first thing I tell all my people who actually work on analytics is to define the objective. Define what you're trying to achieve and write it in plain English in one sentence. If you can do that, then you actually know what you're trying to achieve. And that's the most important aspect of defining of getting analytics or data science project right. So once you've defined the objective, then you go and look at the data that you need, collect that data, prepare it, clean it, fully map, validate it with the business, and bring the business into the process at this stage. Because when you bring the business into the process at this stage, they will feel that it is my project and it is not some analytics folk who's telling me something about my business. So you need to be engaged with business at the very first step. The first step is the business need to define the objective that they're trying to achieve and also understand what kind of data is needed. So then you can go and collect that data and validate and bring business at this stage. Once that is done, you go build your statistical model. Of course, you build the statistical model and then bring that model back to the business and show them what you found out. Now, again, it is at this stage that business will turn around and tell you things like, oh, we already know this because, that was done deliberately because we wanted to achieve something. And so you will have to then go back and recalibrate the model or make some changes to the model and take it to the next level. Once you've done that, the model is absolutely defined and the business actually is happy with the model, then you help them creating insights and recommendations. Most of the analytics people do not have that skill or even courage to actually come up with insights and recommendations. Recommendation is very important. You need to recommend the business what they need to do in order to achieve that outcome and do in the sense what actions need to be taken. And that can only come from the analytics person because those guys have seen the data, they understand what needs to be, what is correlating, what works together, what doesn't work together. And when that is shown to the business and the business understands that, that is the time they will take it for execution. And once they take it to execute, that's where the process, the whole objective can be, outcome can be met. And to do that, then you do tracking, and tracking needs to then feed back into the data and you optimize the process as you go forward. So it is very important to understand the objective at the first stage to get an outcome. And it needs to be working very, very closely with the business. And if you don't do that, then the chances are that you don't get that outcome. So objective to outcome, and you need to make sure that the business is aligned with you at all aspects of it, whether that is marketing, whether that is finance, whether that is operations. They need to be aligned with what you're doing right at the beginning. Okay. Now I'll tell you a couple of examples where I was able to help the organizations very quickly. And that was when we were able to bring data from various sources together very, very quickly. So one example is a human resources example. So this was a large bank in the US, and what they found was that a lot of employees would leave them in less than a year. And for that organization, for that bank, it used to take 3 years before any employee would become profitable. So basically what they were doing was they were training the employees and they would leave and join someone else with more money, of course. So what they wanted to know was, can you tell us the profile of an individual who's likely to leave us within a year? So what we did was we brought together the social media data, the internal employee data, their performance, and we built a predictive model with an attrition score. So each employee was given an attrition score. And when a person was joining, we would profile the person and also give them a attrition score. We not only gave them an attrition score, we also showed to them the characteristics of a person who would leave within the first year. Now, when they did that, what they did, when they understood the characteristic, they changed their interview process, and within the interview process, they added few questions. And some of the questions were, do you have a cat or a dog? And they were very important questions, because what they figured out was that a lot of people would actually, leave the organization if they had one of the two. So they created a profile of a person who would leave within a less than a year, and this helped them significantly reduce attrition rate, and hence saved millions of dollars. Your employees, and suddenly that employee leaves. Now you're making sure that employee is not leaving. Another example was operations. Like, this was a large telco in Australia which had thousands of KPIs in across various functions, various geographies, various categories. Like, they had more than 500 reports which were unused. So what we did was, we went in and collected all the data about the report, about the financial systems, about the BI systems, and brought them together and created a notification system. What that did was that instead of people looking at reports all the time, they would actually look at only the KPIs that were important to them. So they would only look at two or three visualizations. That's it. The rest was all notification, and they were all alerts. So anything that was not important became an alert, and you would only get to know about that when and if, and then only if there is some problem. So you restricted your operations to focus on growing their business than looking at reports or understanding what's going on in the reports. And that is where you help in growing the organization. So you create a lot of value for your organization. Okay, but I have failed too, and these are some of my key learnings which I have learned from my failures. First thing first, make your analysis, make your insights actionable. If they're not actionable, don't bother doing them. If you can't create an action out of it, don't bother doing them. You have to explain the why to the business. Why you're doing it is very important, right? Focus on value. Focus on the fact what kind of value that particular analysis is going to provide. Because if there is no value, there is no point doing it, right? Make it sustainable. Deliver it when it has the most impact. Don't, for example, one of my bosses used to tell me, if you can't come back to me within a week, don't bother coming back to me on this, because after a week I'll have a different problem to solve. So make sure that it is delivered at the time when it is most important. Start simple, but go fast. You don't have to create the most complicated of the models and insight to deliver and take, say, 6 months. Do it now. Create quick wins. Learn as you go. Make it better. You don't have to get 100% accuracy levels. You don't have to get absolutely spot on model. You can start small. You can start with an 85% or 75% accuracy level and then build on it as you go. You have to make sure that the business adopts the modeling, the analysis, the insights, and they take action on it. If they don't take action on it, the chances are you'll build a very good model, will never be used, good for nothing. You have to recognize business owners up front. You need to make sure that the business owners actually are there with you at the beginning of the process and through the process. So they don't think that it is something that has come to them from someone else. It needs to be utilized by the business. Collaboration is very important. Analytics is creativity. No idea is a bad idea. Everyone has something to offer, and take that and try and expand. I usually say I'm in the business of finding things which I don't know. So there are things you know you don't know, and there are things you don't know you don't know. I am in the business of finding out things you don't know. Because if I told you something, or if I found something out for you, which you already knew that you don't know, it will only be that impactful. But if you found out things that you don't know, that the business doesn't know about their business, then that is where the value lies. That is where you're able to change stuff for the organization. And that is very, very important. That's what I've learned, and that's what has led to my success, little success, because I've learned from those failures that I've had, because I tried doing all of that in a different fashion and it didn't work out. Okay. I know a lot of people watching in from India, and I'm from India too. And, I remember Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, and Shah Rukh Khan said, start from start. And that was Microsoft. Start from the start. I would say in analytics, you start from the end. Start from the opportunity. Start from what is the opportunity that you're trying to deliver. Quantify the value, how valuable that is, and define the outcome and the execution up front. Because if you cannot define the outcome, if you cannot define the execution plan, if you don't know what the value it is going to be, then I don't think it's going to work. So start from the end result. Start from how will it look like if I provided something to you guys and you've taken it to the place, then what is the value that you're going to bring to the organization? And if that is valuable enough and execution is simple, then it will be executed and people will take it to the next level. And that is very, very important. So start from the end. Don't start from the start. Don't get all the data that you've got on the planet and start playing with it and to find out something. First, define what is the problem you're trying to solve. And that is the most important. That's where the dollar lies. That's where it is all about. Okay. So what I'm doing today is I'm giving away a free copy of the book, which is available only today. What I want you to do is just scan this QR code on your phone, and this will take you to a link and you can download the book on Kindle. It is only available for you guys who are watching this episode only today on 29th August. After 29th August, it will go back to its original price of $32. So if you want to do that now, just download the book on Kindle, just scan it, and it is free, available for you to download now. So you can download it free of cost. The book has 5 stories on how large organizations utilize data. This is my experience. And so we've got story from a telco, story from a bank, story from a credit card company, well, an insurance company, and a CPG and a retailer. So there are 5 stories in the book. So please download this book. You can download it for free today on 29th August itself. Afterwards, it will be costing you $32. So do it as soon as possible. And I request you, because this is very important, after you've read the book, it will be great that if you can leave a recommendation on the book on the Amazon website, and also give it a 5-star rating, because that is important for people to get onto this journey and learn more from what my experience is. Because what I think is some of the stories are very, very unique here. And even today, so the book was written 3 years ago, even today, a lot of organizations are not doing what is mentioned. And it also gives you a step-by-step guide on how to actually utilize data for your benefit for large organizations. So use that, and that will be helpful to you guys. Okay. So what I say is that we've got a huge opportunity to shape the future. And so you can contact me on any of the available communications. I've got a Twitter handle, which has got around about 47,000 followers. You can follow me there, and I produce a lot of content there. I share a lot of content which I see in the place. You can follow me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, again, there's a lot of things that are happening which I share with people. I also run 2 live shows. One is Women in Data Science, where I bring in women from the data science industry to talk about their experiences. And one is in AI startup series that happens. And these series goes live all the time on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and you can follow me on YouTube as well. If you subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon, then you will get a link every time I go live, or every time I post a video there. There are more than 60 videos now, which actually talk about analytics and various aspects of it. Some are from the book, and some are which I'm learning on day-to-day basis, and you get to see there. So my YouTube channel is Shailendra Kumar S. You can go and subscribe the channel and press the bell icon there as well. So that's where I am, and that was my discussion point. Anyone having any questions, please feel free to ask now. Guys, Saurabh, over to you.
Right. So, folks, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. And please provide the feedbacks on the session as well. I have dropped a form link. We have a couple of questions coming up.
Okay.
So Advaita asks that how can something be determined by a question, like having a cat or a dog?
Okay. So what you and that was a good question. So what happened in that case was that we could figure out the correlation between people leaving and their personal attributes, which included having a cat, having a dog, or other social attributes as well. So apart from that, you would also look at their working behavior and so forth. So what we found out was, and with due respect to everyone who's having a cat and a dog, people who had a pet were more likely to leave that particular organization. It was only for that particular organization within a year. So what they did was they started asking that question in their interview process. So that was a correlation between people leaving out in the first year for that particular organization. If that answers the question.
Somnath says, very nice session. Dr. Gajanan asks, what should
Thank
be
you,
the
Somnath.
data policy for a university?
I don't know what you mean by data policy for university. I think universities can do a lot because they've got lots of data about their students itself, and they could actually identify a lot many things of what students should be trained in what session, what manner, and what kind of teaching processes can be put in place. I really don't know what you mean by data policy for universities. If you can elaborate on that, and I can talk about that in more details.
Sir, we do have the data of 3 lakh students of our university. And many times what happens is we do not know exactly how this data will be, it will be used by the third parties. So many people come to us and they ask for the data. Now, in these circumstances, what minimum data should we supply so that that cannot be misused by the other parties?
So I usually, and this is a great question because there are two things in this. One is data privacy at the back of it, and second is data sharing policies. So if you're looking at the data sharing policy, there is something called anonymizing the data. And I tell you, people cannot misuse zeros and ones. People can misuse names and addresses, but they can't misuse zeros and ones. So what I have worked on with various organizations is around creating 3 different levels of data sets. One is confidential data, that is sensitive data, then the confidential data, and that is the public data. So you can share the public data with anyone, and they should be able to, and you can get money for it as well. I'm not saying that, but you could actually do that. You should, but you'll have to anonymize the data before sharing it with anyone, which means that instead of giving their names and addresses of people, which you need to protect, and I would highly recommend that you don't share that with anyone. Instead, if you created a random number which would associate to that particular individual or with a name and address, then you could actually use that particular data set and their behavior and help other organizations to share that. And that information is very valuable for a lot of people, for a lot of organizations. I don't know which kind of organizations have reached to you, but that kind of information will be valuable for them, if that makes sense.
Sharath?
Dr. Gajanan, did that answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you need any further help, I'm more than happy to help you, and you can reach out to me directly as well.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thanks.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. How is a Six Sigma tool useful for data analysis?
Depending on which Six Sigma tool you're talking about. Six Sigma is a process in itself, and I can't summarize that in one session, or even we've got only 5-10 minutes left here. But what I suggest is that there are components of Six Sigma which are very, very helpful for data analysis. One thing that comes to mind always is design of experiments. Design of experiments is very, very useful in data analysis, where you do not have data for a particular thing. You use design of experiments, and Six Sigma plays a vital role in there. It's, for example, when new products come to market, which you don't have any history about. For example, if you're launching a product that is fizzy and black and sweet, I'm not talking about any product like that, but if you're trying to launch that product, then you could do design of experiments upfront to actually understand what will be the market response to that and so forth. So there are things that are going around at the back that you can use to do Six Sigma at that, to do data analysis. Does it answer the question?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There is another question from Mr. Somnath Pawar. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you ask your question on voice?
Yeah, actually, I am working as an assistant professor in Department of Statistics.
Okay.
So we have data mining and
any
no, Department of Statistics, Shivaji University, Kolhapur.
Okay.
So we have data mining and machine learning as a part of our syllabus, and yeah, so our students are well trained in statistics as well as those machine learning algorithms. With that, they are using Python for coding and this. So can you help in the placement? I am placement officer of that particular department.
So there are, of course, I can help in that space, but usually I say to people, and I'm actually creating a video on this, where I'm talking about how to actually how people who are beginners in data science can actually use data science in their real lives to actually work it out. But what I usually advise people is that data scientists is a breed that should not be looking for a job. First of all, they are there to create jobs, and they can create millions of jobs in no time. But it's just that they need some guidance, and if they're given the right guidance, they can actually do so much good to the world you won't believe. So I suggest, I think I'll post that video in I think tomorrow or day after on my YouTube channel. You can actually share it with your students, but it actually details how a data scientist who's trained in Python or machine learning or deep learning can actually utilize their skill set to not only provide jobs for themselves, but also for others. And it's a huge area. It's a huge area, to be honest. So I suggest that, watch that and have a look at that video as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. I will visit your YouTube channel.
But you can reach out to me if you need any help to advise that those students. Personally, I'm more than happy to help you and have a chat with them as well.
Yes, yes. I have noted your those account details. I will contact with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Guys, any other question? Okay, do we have any other question? Saurabh, I don't think we have any more questions. So,
Okay, I have one for, let's suppose, building a social network, and we have a lot of data, like in terms of what people are posting, what are they liking, or not liking, and what are the kind of posts that they are viewing. How do we correlate all this data very easily?
you've just put me on a spot. What all information do you have?
We have information about what is the kind of posts that people are posting about, what are the kind of posts that they are upvoting or downvoting, what are the groups that they are actually most actively engaged in.
So there are two things you can do. First thing is personalization, which is very easy because you know what they're downloading, what their preferences are. You can actually use that very, very quickly, right? That's a given. I think you must be doing that.
Right. That's something we have started.
Okay. So that's personalization aspect of it. The second aspect is that if you're getting social media data, you must be getting a JSON file, right?
Right. We can have a JSON as well.
Is it a Twitter data or is it a Facebook feed?
It's our own ATG data. It's in SQL or JSON right now.
No, but so it is an internal data. So does that have content as well, or is it people talking about stuff as well?
Yes, content as well.
Perfect. So that gives you a good understanding of what are the kind of say. Let's make it this way. So you run a lot of sessions, right? So people may be writing about these sessions as well. People may be saying that this individual, for example, I did that session, and people may turn around and say that I hated this man and was just on my nerves, didn't like him. And so you can actually create a kind of a content schedule to what people you should reach out in order to invite them for this kind of for any kind of a session, and that you can actually figure out from your text data. Now what you can also do is you can create networks within the text which will tell you what kind of content Dr. Gajanan likes, or Sharad likes, or Somnath likes, and so forth. And then invite them to that particular session. That's one thing you could do. The second thing you could do is then move it to the fact that what is the next best thing? What will entice them? So for example, and I'm making it very obvious, say Somnath and Dr. Gajanan like data science. So the next thing you can move them onto is an artificial intelligence based project and invite them to that session, because that's an obvious next step that they would want to do. So you can actually make it very personalized for your audience to which events do you invite them to, and that will be very, very easy. That I think that should be straightforward to do. So personalization of content for your audience is easy. Secondly, you could also figure out what time of the day should you have these sessions at. Should you have it at 7 o'clock, or should you have it at 5 o'clock, or should you have it during the middle of the day? Because all of that content, you will know that when are your people most active on your platform, and that is very easy for you to understand as well. So there are lots of easy things you could do, but that's simple analysis. you haven't gone into correlation. But when you start breaking down the content of this, of what they're saying on your social channels, then you can actually find correlations between what time, what kind of message entices them at what time, and so forth. So then it becomes a whole lot of things. I haven't seen the data, so I can't. I'm only limited to my my thinking at this of what I can think and tell you.
Right, that helps. Thanks.
But if you share some data set with me, I can create something for you as well. No problems.
Thank you.
I think there is a question from Priyanka. Priyanka, are you there? Okay, can you ask the question?
I'll ask the question on her behalf.
Okay, yeah, go on.
Okay. When we search about a particular topic on the internet, we get different result links. Among them, many of the results aren't relevant to what we are exactly trying to find out. So how to get or fetch the accurate data among them?
This is a question for Google, not for me. I don't know why is that happening, but you know, you need to be very precise in asking your search question. I think that's where I can answer that, but I have no clue why is that happening, and should be a question for Google, not for me.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Shailendra, for your time, for your precious time. Thanks, everyone participant. You took the time out and you learned something new today. And it gives me great pleasure to host such webinars as part of across the globe so that we fulfill our vision of connecting students with opportunities at this moment. So please do log on to the app, check out the articles or the internships that we have on the platform, and we'll be conducting such sessions in September as well. Thanks, Mr. Shailendra.
So you're finishing the call now?
Right. So in case anyone wants to connect to Mr. Shailendra, please do that on either ATG or any of the other social media channels that we have. I have forwarded everyone his profile link on across the globe. Please do feel free to contact him or post about the session on across the globe or ask any question, any doubt on artificial intelligence, machine learning in respective groups.
I'll just mention my YouTube channel as well, where you can so it is and that's it. I don't know whether that's the channel, but let me very quickly get you the channel details so that you guys can join me. Okay, here is the channel. So please subscribe to the channel so that you can, or you can visit the channel and find out various videos that are there, and that will be very helpful to you guys as well. Perfect.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Shailendra. Have a great time, great evening, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.